Hello, football fans, and welcome to View from the Sideline podcast. Coming up this week in the Premier League review, we look back at the action from the weekend, including the first win for Lampard and shocks at Old Trafford and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Chris returns with more stats in the wonders of white. Pete tries to break our 100% record with another teaser, and the bragging rights go to Jody in this week's predictions challenge. We'll catch up on all the EFL action, and we've got a special this week with our Yeovil watch as our roving reporter Adam gives us his match report from the weekend's game against Maidenhead. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of View from the Sideline podcast. It's Rich here and Chris is with us. Hi Chris.
Hello Rich, all right?
Yeah, not bad. Another action-packed weekend of
I've got a smile on my face this week.
Football. Yeah, well that makes one of us. I nearly boycotted today's podcast because 3 weeks in then I've lost interest in football already, but we'll come on to that. So lots to talk about this week. So before we get into the Premier League review, we'll go to Pete's teaser. So what's this week's teaser then, Pete?
Okay, this week's question. Which overseas striker played one season in the Premier League? He scored 17 goals in 35 games, and he was also on the losing side in both domestic cups.
Okay, my week's just not got any better.
Damn.
Yeah, I think I might be relying on you for this one, Chris.
This is
I'm not sure.
well,
I'm not sure my knowledge of cup finals. Being
This
a
is
Spurs
going to be
fan.
a trip down memory lane, I think. 'Cause I can't think of any recent ones, so get to that later.
My immediate thought is going towards a Chelsea player,
Oh,
purely for the amount of strikers that they've
no,
had.
we've not lost.
I don't know.
There's no way they've lost both finals in one season.
Maybe Liverpool. I don't know. Okay, well we'll come back to that. So we'll I think he's a bit annoyed that we've got 2 out of 2, so he's thrown that one at us. But we'll give it a go. So we'll go into the Premier League review, and especially for you, Chris, there's only one place to start. We will go straight to Carrow Road for the early kick-off on Saturday, Norwich v Chelsea. First 3 points for Lampard. The goals were flowing.
Yeah,
What did you think of it? What did you think?
It was a very fast-paced game, I would say, and it was good to see the younger players of the squad scoring the goals. And I think it's what Tammy Abraham needed. I think was just to get a goal, just to grow that confidence, and you could see that throughout the game. As soon as he got the first goal, he was causing quite a few problems.
Took it well, didn't he? Really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, the first goal was
goal,
really
yeah,
well
was a
taken.
great finish.
But the flip side to that is the defence. There's still underlying issues.
Is it David?
There, it's not Dave. No, not Dave.
It's not Dave.
Not Spanish Dave this week. But I think it was a combined effort of poor defending. I think that the goals were. The only thing I would say is that I thought there was a foul on Abraham to the build up to the first Norwich goal. I thought that the player was a bit late on him, but obviously it wasn't picked up. So, but other than that, I was very happy, and hopefully this is the start. Because to be fair, like in the other 2 games, we've shown moments of what the squad is capable of, and I think a special mention as well to Kovacic, who I thought was probably man of the match.
What do you think about so Lampard promoting youth? So that looks like the way he's going to go this season.
Yeah.
So you 2 goal scorers out of the 3 games so far. So 2 for Mason Mount, and it was a good finish. I thought his goal was pretty good on Saturday. Yeah. And then 2 for Abraham. Again, we've said the first finish was a good finish, but I think the second one was as well. So that's your goal scorers. So playing with the youth, promoting the youth, giving them a chance seems to be paying off. And especially if you think that Norwich played well against Liverpool, they played very well against Newcastle, as poor as Newcastle were in that game. So going there wasn't always going to be the easiest thing to do.
They were in the game. There's no way you can say that they weren't in. Even when we went 3-2 up, they did sit back a bit second half, but they had chance. They had other chances as well. But I'll be very, very surprised if Mount and Abraham are not in that England squad.
That was going to be one of my questions, because I think it's named. Is it named late this week or next week?
I think it's later this week. Yeah.
Because I think there's been a lot of talk about both of them being in it. So
I think they both will.
We'll see, but I mean, a good 3 points, first win of the season. Sheffield United at home this coming weekend, so you'd feel pretty confident.
I think
it's awful when Chelsea win. My banter is so restricted when Chelsea win.
It just kind of shuts you down a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. Got to try and be a bit more sensible, I guess. Yes. So a good 3 points all in all for Chelsea. First 3 points of the season. So we'll see how they go from there. So we'll go up to Old Trafford. Probably the shock of the weekend, definitely the shock of the day.
Definitely.
I think that a lot of people would have had this as a home banker. I think, especially when you look at how United played, especially against Chelsea first game of the season, and then I don't think they played that badly against Wolves, but then Palace were awful against Sheffield United. Put that all together, I think it was pretty much a nailed-on 3 points for United. But it's almost, if we just talk about the first goal, I mean, it was literally like the parting of the sea for RU to get through 1-on-1, and that's the complete opposite of everything that was coming out the first game against Chelsea, where the defence looked more solid. Wan-Bissaka in there and Maguire in there, Lindelof playing better. But they were terrible for that first goal. I thought it was awful defending.
It was a mess. They've got Maguire in. He's a good player, but he's not going to strengthen the back four on his own. I know they got Wan-Bissaka as well. I thought the first 2 games of the season's been pretty good, but I thought on Saturday he wasn't that great, and I don't think, to be fair, I don't think there was one Man United player on that pitch that you could probably say actually had a good game.
No, I mean even the goal, reliable. De Gea. I mean, he's got to save. Yeah. He's got to save that second one.
You don't get beaten at your near play. That's one of the key things.
No, and he got down to it. A couple of things from me I want your opinion on, Chris. So first of all, the penalty situation. Where do you stand on this? I mean, I'm all for having a designated penalty taker.
Yeah, I think you should have.
It's one of 2 or one of 3.
Yeah, I think you need to have one dedicated penalty taker. It seems a bit of a cop out that they're saying they're both. It seems like they're just trying to keep Pogba happy, but to be fair, he missed anyway. Rashford missed.
But they had a penalty against you first game, didn't they?
Yeah, they've had a penalty in every game.
Penalty in every game. So Rashford took it, scores. Pogba against Wolves misses. Rashford against Palace misses. I think you've got to stay. I don't know. Like I say, I'm all for the one designated penalty taker.
James, second booking this season already for diving.
Yeah, I don't think it was a dive. I was really surprised. I did wonder at the time whether that whether they go back at that retrospectively to remove that yellow, because I think it was a foul. I think he caught him, but he's a bit like Bale, I think, when he towards his later years at Spurs, where he's so quick that the slightest touch he's going to go down. But I thought that was a pretty clear one. I'd be interested to see whether they overturn that. The second thing for me, Jesse Lingard. So go back to the World Cup where he was starting for England. He was an integral part of the team in their journey to the semi-finals. Now, I think I read a stat the other day that he hasn't he hasn't scored or assisted a goal for like the last 15 or 16 games, which is really surprised me with him. Almost to this, but you almost forget he's playing at the
Yeah,
moment.
I saw.
You don't know what he's doing. You forget he's on the pitch.
I saw someone online make a comment about how did he go from playing really, really well a couple of seasons ago, like last season, the start of last season, he started off really well, and then all of a sudden he's just kind of like come off the boil. But I really don't know what's happened there. But
I just find it really surprising. I think he's like a go-to player. If he's firing, if Rashford's firing, if Pogba's firing, United are a good side. But that was even. If you look at the overall game, and I think there's going to be a theme this week around like possession and sort of shots. That doesn't really mean much in football because it doesn't mean you're going to win. But the United of old, where they would just put pressure and pressure and pressure on, and at some point the other team would sort of fold. I feel with United, especially in this game, there was a lot of pressure, but no sort of end product. It was almost as if Palace could sit back and just take the pressure, and they had a good outlet in Ayew, and I thought Benteke played pretty well, to be honest, which is sort of the complete polar opposite to what they were like last week. But I think when you're battling for top 4, top 6, you're not going to moan that United lose to Palace, but as a United fan, you're going to be pretty annoyed. So we'll leave that match and we'll go on to Liverpool-Arsenal. So the late game on Saturday, I called this one as 2-2 before, and I was surprised, to be honest with you, how easy it was for Liverpool. I thought Arsenal were pretty disappointing.
Well, I think you only got to look at one player, and that's at Arsenal's back four.
David Luiz, by any chance?
Yeah, I don't know how he thought he was going to get away with that penalty. He was clearly grabbing the shirt, and then the third Liverpool goal where Salah just kind of
it's too easy.
He just goes in, doesn't think, and Salah's gone as soon as that. But to be fair, it really pains me to say this, but Liverpool again are looking like a great side this season, and at times they really do play some amazing football.
I think that's the best. I'd say that's the best Liverpool have been in the 3 games so far.
Do you think it's because Salah?
It was their biggest test.
Do you think because Salah would turn? I think this is Salah's best game I've seen him for Liverpool for a while.
Yeah. I mean, he got a couple, didn't he? I thought it was quite ironic that last week that sort of you.
Yes, I did say.
you said Firmino as the most important of the 3, and I said Mane, and then it's Salah that sort of took all the headlines.
He took it to heart. He heard what we said, and he took it to heart.
Maybe. I mean, I think there's been a lot of talk about Arsenal playing a diamond in this game, and quite a narrow diamond, which allowed Robertson and Alexander-Arnold to get forward, which I think was probably I can kind of see Emery's reasoning behind it. It just didn't work.
It just made the fact that especially Arnold, he can cross the ball so well, and they just looked vulnerable, and it really didn't help. David Luiz leaving Chelsea, there wasn't that much uproar about him leaving Chelsea. It's because of performances like this that it just lets him down.
Yeah. I maybe it's against the bigger teams that he gets found out. I mean, I'm with you with the penalty. I mean, it's almost as if, remember VAR? We've got VAR now. You're never going to get away with that.
The referee didn't even need it. It's just so blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
How he tried to justify it to the referee that it wasn't a. I just laughed. Just thought.
I guess it was a bit ironic being a Chelsea fan, but I kind of feel that I was a bit disappointed with Arsenal because I thought that they've looked good in the 2 games they've played so far, and
Pepe,
they've won.
It was the first time that someone's got past Van Dijk or something in 50 games or something. I don't know
in the league, because there was a big thing in the Community Shield, wasn't there, when Jesus got got
Yeah,
past him, and there was a big thing about it. But
the shot from he just literally tapped it right at the keeper.
But I think that's the thing for me. I just found Arsenal a bit disappointing. I thought they would have given Liverpool a bit more of a game, and I think that Liverpool performed how you would expect them to perform in a big game, and Arsenal didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Liverpool will have tougher tests this year. But I know what will happen. Arsenal will turn it on again on Sunday.
And you play them this week.
Yeah, which takes us onto the Spurs game, which I'd like to avoid.
Well, I could easily turn around and be very biased right now, but I have to say the key decision in this game has gone against you, and I've heard so many people talk about this penalty decision. It's the second, which is the one in the second half, where Lascelles, he's kind of stumbled, but he has stopped Harry Kane from getting the ball. He's not won the ball, and so I really am finding it difficult to.
So why do you think he does? Why do you think he doesn't give it then? Because I mean, I almost feel like VAR has evened itself out with us in the space of 2 weeks, rather than over the course of the season. But if a penalty has to be clear and obvious, I mean, just talk about the first one, just very briefly, the one on Son. So there was a lot of talk across sort of the radio stations, and a lot of pundits were saying that was a penalty because the defender takes the ball, but the defender takes the ball with the momentum that they've used going through Son. So the first offence is the fact that they've brought him down, but in the process of sliding in to bring him down, they've got the ball. So therefore, it's not clear and obvious. But with the second one, I mean, the defender's pretty clever, I think, because it's almost as if he's on his way down.
Yeah,
I'll just throw myself in front of his feet, and then it's not a foul because it's my momentum. I can't. I don't think I'm going to be biased when I say it. I think it was a penalty.
Oh no!
The thing I can't understand is why it's not clear and obvious. So what is it that's not? What is it that's not obvious about it being a penalty? That's kind of what I don't get.
Even in real time, I thought it was a penalty, and I was literally I thought, they'll go to VAR, they do their bit, and they just say it's a penalty. Like, there's no way that they're not going to give it, and I literally could not believe it because they were showing replay after replay on the TV, and then all of a sudden the referee he blew his whistle, and he was like pointing for a corner. Was it a corner or a goal? I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I was quite amazed it wasn't given. For me, like you said, Lascelles has been clever in the fact that he knows he's going down. So,
but I mean,
I know there are people out there that say it's not a penalty, but
I mean, that's the thing. I know you'll always get that split, but there seems to be quite an even split about it wasn't. So maybe there isn't something that is obvious about it. But I mean, I don't think we can, especially from a Spurs point of view, we can't use that as an excuse as to why we lost. I think for me personally, it's almost a carbon copy of the first half against Villa, where we just seem to lack creativity. I mean, I find it hard to criticise Harry Winks because I really like him, but I think it's in games like that he's not that creative. Sort of, he's going to produce that defence splitting pass like you would maybe expect Eriksen to do. He's more of a pivot in the middle where the play just flows through him. And obviously bringing I didn't understand why he didn't start Eriksen unless there is some transfer activity going on. And he's maybe he's been told not to start him, or why Lo Celso didn't start. I don't get that. I mean, Ndombele was injured, and we massively missed him. And I kind of think, from a Spurs point of view, we knew what Newcastle were going to do. We knew that they would sit back. I mean, they hadn't got a point before Sunday. If they did get a goal, they were going to make it as frustrating as possible. But for me, it now puts a lot of pressure on the Arsenal game going into the international break.
You said this last week, didn't you?
Yeah, I think that if we'd got 7 points from the 3 games, and then you could almost say it doesn't matter as much if we don't win at Arsenal. But if we don't win at Arsenal now, 4 points from 12 go, and then you've got the international break where you're not playing. That, I think, as a fan, that annoys you. But I mean, there's a lot of talk this week about what's going on at Spurs, and one thing that I found really interesting, I read this today, that from the last 15 Premier League games, it's only Watford and Brighton that have actually got a worse record than Spurs. That's like half a season, and it just shows you how the run to the Champions League final last year was. No one was talking about Spurs' league form because they're in the Champions League final. But only 2 teams worse than them. And look at Brighton the end of last year, and Watford the end of last year going into this season. It just shows how bad their form is. And even Pochettino said it after the game. I mean, he said you need to have the capacity to step up when you're faced with that type of opposition and you're losing. But Spurs didn't show that. Spurs should have been. They're almost a bit like United. They were peppering the sort of final third, but just not getting anywhere. And I think Eriksen's going to go. Personally, I think I've changed my mind. I think he's going to go because they'll want to try and get some money for him. But he needs to start playing the Celso, in my opinion. But we'll move on. I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm sulking. Damn football. I did like Newcastle's away kit though. Every cloud, you know.
That was worth it.
So we'll go on to Bournemouth Man City next. Pretty straightforward for City, I think. Sterling, Aguero. I think that City look like they're going to score from everywhere, don't they? I mean, I guess Kyle Walker, that's a bit of a talking point, and Edison.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker with 2 yellows, maybe he should have been sent off. Don't know what you thought of that.
Potentially, I don't. Maybe. I'm not sure. I thought David Silva had a good game.
They're going to miss him next year, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think we're going to say this every week. Yeah, they're going to miss him.
When I was watching the highlights, I know that they're pinning their hopes on obviously Bernardo Silva. I think filling in that gap, but I don't think. I think in the last sort of 6-7 seasons or however long he's been there, I think he's probably been their key player. I think more so than I know Aguero scored the goals, but I think
Company has as well.
They had a good spine to that team. I think
Silva gives you something else that Company where he'll throw his body on the line, and Aguero where he'll always get you that vital goal. David Silva's consistent. He's consistently performing at a high level. Which I think they'll miss. But Bernardo Silva had an amazing season last year, so I think he'll be all right. But Bournemouth, if I could change my prediction, I would. I feel a bit bad that I put them in the bottom 3.
I thought because they played all right and they had just as many chances on target than what City did. But quickly on the England talk again, Harry Wilson. Do you think he'll get called up? I know probably won't start, but do you think he'll get given a chance?
No.
No, too soon?
No. No, but I think because Southgate he likes what he likes. And I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say this, but Harry Wilson scored 2 stunning goals in 2 weeks. And I kind of think that's why there's a lot of press on him. I'm not sure he's quite ready for England.
Maybe.
Yeah, but someone who is, we'll move on from that one. But a good win for City, and Bournemouth played well. So Sheffield United, Leicester. James Maddison. if Eriksen does leave Spurs,
Oh,
I
hello,
want
hello.
him. I want this man. I want
Exclusive.
this.
We've
I
got an
want this
exclusive.
guy at Spurs.
He's
And
good, isn't he?
I think he's amazing, and he's
Is he?
22 years old. And I said this on the first podcast this season that I was really excited about Leicester's front four of Vardy, Maddison, Telemans, and Pires. Maddison's assist for Vardy's goal was unbelievable. The way he picks the ball up in midfield, I think it breaks him. I think Leicester break the possession, break the play down in midfield. One touch and then a 25 yard pass with the outside of his right foot where Vardy does not even break stride. Great assist. I think he was man of the match against Chelsea. I think he's having a great season, and I think he will be in the England squad.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
definitely. He should start.
He should be in the Spurs squad. Come January.
Sheffield United, I don't think they'll be that disappointed though. I don't think. I thought that they actually played in spells of the game. They were quite good. I have to say though, Jamie Vardy celebrating the goal in front of their fans was quite amusing. I didn't realise, but apparently he's a Sheffield Wednesday fan.
Yeah. You would though, wouldn't you? He was getting a bit of stick from
he
him.
was. Yeah.
No, I just think that's.
I just
kind of think if a football fan's got the right to give it to a player, then the player's got the right to give it back. He's just a bit outnumbered. That's all.
He loved it. He was loving it. You know what he's like. He'd take them all on as well. Just imagine.
And the winner by Barnes for Leicester, crikey.
Very nice.
I don't know. I didn't rip that net. But yeah, so good win for Leicester. Unlucky Sheffield United, really. I thought they kind of played, although the manager said they didn't deserve anything. I thought they played okay. I didn't think they were that bad.
He was pretty honest, wasn't he?
I love the atmosphere when Sheffield United equalised. The noise was unbelievable. So we'll go on to Watford, West Ham. Watford's still the only Premier League team now yet to register a point.
Shocking, aren't they?
They look poor to me. They look too easy to get through, which is the complete opposite to last season. I know they sort of possibly overperformed last season, but they look poor this year.
It's like they've flipped the switch and just completely gone in the opposite direction. I know, but that's literally although a contender for miss of the season already.
Oh, from Will Hughes, that was terrible, wasn't it? That was awful.
He won't be getting an England call, I'll tell you that.
No, absolutely.
I think that was actually hard. A credit to him. It was probably harder to miss than what it was to score. So he's done pretty well to miss that. But defensively they look terrible. And that Haller for West Ham, he was having a field day, like with his strength and.
I thought he looked good. New signing, couple of goals. I thought he looked pretty good, to be honest. I think that's the sort of West Ham that I think you expect to see, and I think if they kept that sort of form up, I think they'd be pushing for Europe. But you know what West Ham are like. Next game they'll probably go out and lose 4-0 at home. It's just the way it is with them. So Brighton, Southampton. I think the big talking point was
Zandoni okay? Is he had a bad day or something?
The sending off. I mean, it's not as if they're under pressure. I was having this conversation that I think they should. I don't know what happens internally, but if I was part of Brighton, I'd be fining him. I don't know whether he gets fined anyway for being sent off. But
he's all right. What's wrong with him? Because
he's lost his team 3 points there.
To want to do that as well, it's just unbelievably like even the tackle. I know because I didn't.
And then sit on him. He sat on him afterwards as if to plead his
innocence.
I
heard it on the Soccer Saturday thing, whatever they said about, and they were saying it was a clear red card. But I don't think it's until you actually see it on the TV of how actually bad it was.
Oh, it's terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
Said, they were on top as well at that point, and he's.
But the thing is for me is that I think Brighton were on top for pretty much the whole game, even with 10 men.
Yeah.
So it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if it was 11 against 11. I mean, 2 good goals from Saints, but I was having this conversation with Pete. We should actually get him on rather than just doing his recordings. We should get him on. And he's a Saints fan. He was saying that he's almost done like a prediction for Saints throughout the season. And he's predicted them to have 10 points after 10 games, which doesn't sound like it's going to be great form.
No.
But he was having their first win. I think it was this week or next week. Doesn't sound like he's got too much faith in them, to be honest. But
especially if it's coming from one of your own fans.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I kind of think that if it was 11 against 11, I think Brighton would have won that. I mean, I say, even with 10, they looked like they were. I mean, they had the goal disallowed, which was rightly disallowed, but they looked to be putting pressure on. And one thing with Saints that surprised me this season is Ward-Prowse. He's almost gone under the radar, where the back end of last season I think he was even in the England squad, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I can't see him being in this one. It's just, I think my point is that the players that Saints would possibly rely on are a bit inconsistent for me, and that's why their form dips, I think. And I think they could struggle this season. I think they'll be down there.
They scored a couple of the weekend, but I still think going forward, I think that's their main issue. I don't think they've got a natural sort of goal scorer. But
no, I agree with you.
We'll see.
So Friday night, Villa-Everton. So
what were you saying about Everton last?
It had to happen. Didn't it? Had to happen. I thought it was a really difficult game to call beforehand because Everton had been in really good form, but Villa at home, I think, are always going to be dangerous. And from the highlights that I saw, I'm not sure how Everton, one, didn't score or didn't take anything from it. I mean, I wouldn't say it was an end-to-end thriller for a Friday night, but...
Well, yeah, the manager came out after the game and said he wasn't too sure on how they ended up losing that game, but I thought Villa played well, but, you know, like I said, Everton just didn't take the chances that they were given, and Jack Grealish, he can finally say he's won a Premier League game.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, so... No,
what do you think? What do you think of? I can't quite get my head around this. Alex Iwobi going to Everton. It just feels to me like it was a deadline day signing, where they knew they weren't going to get Zaha, so they thought they had to get someone in. And he's a better player than I am. Let's just put that out there.
Mate, I've seen you on the wing.
I've got some moves, but I'm not sure. One, he's worth 35-40 million, whatever they paid for him.
It's just another Theo Walcott, mate.
And he doesn't seem to be the sort of person I think that's going to make Everton that much better than what they are already.
He was another player at Arsenal when about 3 or 4 seasons ago, where all the Arsenal fans were saying he's going to be the next big thing, and he just didn't get any better. It's exactly like Theo Walcott. Walcott had 1 or 2 good seasons at Arsenal, and then he just literally stayed at the same level. He didn't get any better. So it's just for me, it's just like that. And I don't know why they signed him. I really, really don't. Because I don't think they need it.
It's a strange one for me. But yeah, so Villa are off the mark. Everton first goals conceded for I think 7 or 8 games now. So it'll be good to see how Everton react to that defeat now, because they've had their first defeat from the 3, the first goals they've conceded this season. So I think that will be the key on how they react for next week. So we'll finish at Molineux for Wolves, Burnley.
Oof, I bet you're not very happy with this result.
Well, I mean, the last-minute penalty is what gave Jody the win in the predictions that we'll talk about later. But for me, this is such a comparison about what no Europa League football does for you versus what Europa League football does to you.
Was it me or the Wolves that really tired? They just like
they didn't look themselves to me, and they've played more games than anyone else because they've been having the Europa League qualifiers, but Burnley look a completely different team. Wolves have now drawn each game. So, I mean, they're unbeaten, but they've only got 3 points from the 3 games, each with sort of differing degrees, I think. The point against United was probably a good point. This one was a hard-fought point. But Ashley Barnes, I mean, someone phoned up, I think someone phoned up 5 Live over the weekend and is touting Ashley Barnes to go to United. And I just thought...
United, they did.
Yeah, but that's it. So United are poor and they're not scoring goals. Ashley Barnes is scoring goals. Therefore, you must link the two together. I can't see it happening personally, but...
Am I right in saying that apart from Aubameyang and Aguero, he's got the most Premier League goals this calendar year? I think I saw that somewhere.
So. Yeah, I think so. I think
he's
that's right.
He's at United in January, I'm telling you.
It's got to be.
That guy's talking sense.
80 million.
But yeah, for any Burnley fan out there, I think you see the 96th minute and you think we're home and dry, and then I thought Wolves got a bit lucky, but that's football for you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the Premier League review and the end of part 1. So when we come back in part 2, we'll start off with the EFL review. So we look at Championship, League 1 and League 2, and then we've got special Yeovil Watch today, where we've sent one of our reporters. Is he one of our reporters? Is he on the payroll now?
Yeah, well, he did a podcast for us last year. He's done bits for us, hasn't he? So
he did. So we'll see what Adam thought of the Yeovil game, and then we'll hear what Chris thought of the Yeovil game yesterday. So it'll be an upbeat second part of the podcast. Then we've got update on predictions, Wonders of White, and we'll try and answer Pete's teaser. So we'll see you in part 2. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of View from the Sideline podcast. So we're going to start part 2 with our EFL review. So in the Championship, Leeds remain top. They're on 13 points after a 3-0 win away at Stoke at the weekend. But they are joined at the top by Swansea, who seem to have come from nowhere from last season. They won 3-0 at home to Birmingham, so both teams at the top on 13 points. Charlton are third after breaking a run of 2 consecutive draws. They beat Brentford 1-0. Bristol City won 3-1 away at Hull to move into 4th. And Fulham dropped to 5th after losing 2-1 at home to Nottingham Forest. Preston, they complete the playoff places. They moved up into 6th with a 2-1 home win against Sheffield Wednesday. At the bottom, Stoke and Huddersfield both remain without a win and only have 1 point each. It's funny, isn't it, really? If you said a couple of years ago Stoke and Huddersfield would be bottom of the Championship. So both have only got 1 point. They both lost at the weekend. Stoke going down to Leeds 3-0 and Huddersfield lost 2-0 at home to Reading. Wigan, they occupy the final relegation place. They lost their 4th game in a row, going down 3-1 at QPR. And there's 4 teams just above them on 4 points, including 2 of the promoted sides in Luton and Barnsley. So into League 1, we've still got 6 unbeaten teams in League 1. The top 5 are all on 11 points from their 5 games, with Ipswich currently sitting top due to their superior goal difference. They got a 5-0 win against Bolton at the weekend. Blackpool are in 2nd. They drew 0-0 away at Rochdale, and Wickham are in 3rd after edging out Southend in a 7-goal thriller. Sunderland, Coventry and Fleetwood, they make up the top 6, with Fleetwood the only team to have suffered defeat this season out of those teams. Doncaster, they're in 8th, but they're also unbeaten. They've got 8 points, but they have played a game fewer because I think they were due to play Bury, but that was postponed. So at the bottom, Bury are still yet to play, so they remain on a negative 12 points. And Bolton, they have managed to play 4 games so far this season, picking up 1 point, so they're on minus 11. So as we're recording this, I don't think there's been a final decision on either Bury or Bolton. I know the deadline was 5 o'clock.
But there's, from the latest that I've heard, on Twitter and Sky saying that Bury have had 3 bids accepted by the owner, but they've got to go through the EFL, who are working with them, and then the owner, I assume, for Bury then chooses which offer he takes. But nothing for Bolton though, from what I can see, which is not
I mean
good,
the deadline keeps getting pushed back. I mean, I've been following it as best I can, but
yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on because it was meant to be 5 o'clock today, and then that's it. But we're still going. Oh yeah, it's very sad. Yeah,
like, especially if you're you work for the club or you're a fan of that club, it's not nice. I think they said
what do you do? Who do you go and support?
Yeah, well, the last team in the EFL this happened to was in '92. I think it was Maidstone. I think it said Maidstone or something like that. So yeah,
fingers crossed for them, but yeah, it's not looking good at the moment. So yeah, also at the bottom, Southend, they're without a point from their 5 games, so they sit 22nd at the moment. Accrington are in the final relegation place with only 1 point from their 4 games. Wimbledon have also only got 1 point, and Gillingham have got 2 from their 4 games, and they currently sit in 19th. So all 3 teams lost at the weekend. So that's Championship and League One. Chris, if you want to do League Two?
Yep. So Exeter sit top of League Two at the moment. They beat Morecambe 3-2 away. Morecambe were reduced to 10 men late on in that game. And Plymouth in second. They beat Walsall by 3-0. Plymouth actually ended the game with 10 men. And Forest Green are third after a late winner against Bradford. Forest Green actually scored the winning goal in the 93rd minute, and then actually had someone sent off 4 minutes later. Macclesfield, they've won again. They beat struggling Scunthorpe 1-0, so they're actually in 4th place. Newport moved above Crewe into 5th after they beat Crewe by 1-0. Crewe now lie in 6th. Grimsby make up the last playoff place. They put 5 past Port Vale, ending in 5-2. Scunthorpe are rock bottom, still only registering 1 point this season. As I just said, they lost earlier to Macclesfield. And Stevenage are now second from bottom. They drew 0-0 with Mansfield, and Stevenage have yet to score a single goal this season in the first 5 games.
Well, that's not good.
They've drawn twice 0-0 and lost the other games. So yeah, not
great form.
Great for them. No, so we'll move on to the National League, and we were lucky enough to actually have someone at the ground, and this is what Adam thought of the game.
Hi both, thank you very much for allowing me to review this week's Yeovil Town game. Yes, we lost 2-1 at home to Maidenhead. On reflection on the game, it was a poor performance all over from Yeovil. It was very frustrating. Never really got going. That didn't help with the case of Maidenhead straight away from nearly kick-off. You can tell that they were just there for the draw. Did everything they could possibly to disrupt the game, to slow down the game, to play act on the game. Yes, they had a couple of chances which they took, and that was really it. They took their 2 real main chances. Our goal late on, we couldn't do anything after that. It was far too late to sort of equalise. Not enough time. It was sort of first half, no real chances, nothing really happened first half, easily forgotten about. Second half, a lot better performance. I think Darren Sile must have really gone into them. I think it was. You're not going to win games like that at all. You've got to straight go out, fight for the win. Second half, it seemed to be like that. More chances. That's when they had their. That's where obviously all the goals came from the second half. We missed an open goal at 0-0. Should have scored. Would have been a completely different game. Probably outcome. Probably got the 3 points. Because then they would have to come at us, and we would have opened them up and probably scored a few more. But when they scored, that was it. Straight walls, all at the back. Slow the game down. Typical. Still 35 minutes to go, and they were slowing the game down like it was going to finish in 5 minutes' time. It was a good atmosphere. A really good atmosphere, actually. You can tell that with new manager, new players, new owners, fingers crossed, that the fans are coming back and the crowd is getting behind the team, much as we possibly can. Just the team has got to start winning games. You can tell we've got much better quality players in our team than Maidenhead's and probably a lot of other teams this year. But we've got to get the 3 points, got to start scoring the goals. And really just got to adapt to teams coming to Yeovil and thinking Yeovil this big team to beat against and just really disrupt the flow of football. Yeovil try to pass it on the floor, try to sort of do the sort of tappy football, bit too slow at times. You can see they were trying to play like obviously proper football rather than Maidenhead's just hit and hope, which obviously did work, but it just Yeovil sometimes has got to think myself, we've got to do that as well. And I think what I've heard that we are trying to sign quite a decent striker, tall lad, that's probably going to suit that more gameplay for the rest of the season. I know it's early days. We're not 12th in the league. It's not sort of not too bad mid-table. I think a lot of Yeovil fans potentially might be happy with that end of the season. I think we should be top 7, nothing else. I think we've got the quality there. I think the team's better this year than it was last year and probably the year before that. So it's the team there that starts gelling properly and starts scoring the goals and putting these sort of teams to bed, then we should be fine. And we've really shown glimpses at this season. So I just think, there's definitely nothing to worry about, but games are coming very quick in this league. There's plenty more games to come, and I think Yeovil just got to sort of keep going. The squad's small, yes, but the quality there is to beat most teams in this league. And so on reflection, overall, poor game, but it wouldn't have took much more upper level, and Yeovil would have breezed past Maidenhead. It just the final pass into the box wasn't quite good enough, but we are missing Reece Murphy, who's our main striker, really out and out threat, who scored I think 32 goals last season for his team, who he got him from, and I think he came for the last 10 minutes, and that's when Yeovil sort of played differently. So I think with him back now from his injury, I think we should be okay, and I think if he starts scoring, we're fine. So yeah, a better game yet. Not the best of games, but I think we can just keep going and hopefully a win won't be too far away. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for that, Adam. Obviously not a great result there for Yeovil on Saturday, and things didn't get any better for them yesterday when they conceded a 94th minute winner against Dagenham Red. So that was 2 defeats in a row.
I think we're going to get asked to stop following them.
So after a fairly decent start, there's this kind of all crumbled beneath them. 2 home games coming up now, so I know one's against Notts County next week. Not sure who they got after that, but yeah, they're 18th at the moment in the league, so let's hope they start picking up some points. Otherwise, we could be doing National League South next season.
I can't be doing with that. I'm struggling with the National League teams.
So yeah, it's not great recently, but they've just signed someone who played for Bury last season. Actually, his first name is Gold. Gold, yeah. So he's got to be good, hasn't he? That's no Gold.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. He's got to be amazing. So that's the EFL and Yeovil watch. So thanks Adam for that.
Cheers, Ad.
It's sorry to send you out on a mission. I know we didn't send him out, but
sorry you had to sit through that.
Send Chris your expenses for your, like pie and pint, and he'll cover that. So we're just going to touch lightly on predictions.
Just lightly. we not?
Where,
It's a bit
well,
more.
it's up to you, Chris. I mean, because you came third.
I know mate. It wasn't about me this week.
Well, it is next week.
Next week it is. Yeah.
So, for those of you that don't know, it was my wife Jodie that took part this week, and she might have won. I don't know. Haven't totaled the scores up yet, but yeah, she might have won. So she got a total of 16 points. It was the last-minute equaliser for Wolves that got her 10 points actually, because she got 1-1. Chris got 6 again for the second week in a row. But I got golden goal second week in a row, so that bumped my score up. So the table's starting to take shape. And this week, Chris, we have your significant other, where the pressure is now well and truly on you.
Yeah, she beat me last season as well, so yeah, hoping to do a little bit better than what you've done this week.
So we'll be interesting to see over the weekend. I'm not sure how we stand if both of our wives beat us. Maybe they should take over. They should do that, actually. That might be quite interesting. So we'll see where the bragging rights in the White household stand after the weekend, which leads us nicely into your new feature, Chris, The Wonders of White. Hopefully we haven't covered your stats already.
No.
In the weekend review.
These
are high-level stats, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, they don't get ripped from any website, mate. Okay, so this is the first time 2 English players aged 21 or under have scored in a Premier League match for Chelsea since 1992, when Eddie Newton and Graham Stewart scored against Sheffield Wednesday. There you
Eddie
go,
Newton.
Eddie Newton.
God, that's a blast
Still at the
from
club.
the past.
He's at the club now. Obviously not playing, but you know, in some capacity.
Well, maybe he should be.
Eddie Newton was assistant manager when we won the Champions League. So come on, you know, fair play.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Patrick Van Aanholt has become the second player ever to score a 90th minute winner versus Manchester United in any Premier League game. Thierry Henry is the only other player to achieve this.
That's illustrious company.
Yeah. There were 5 away wins in the Premier League on Saturday. That is a record on any single day in the competition.
That's I'm impressed. Yeah, I'm very impressed. Yeah.
And last but not least, Lee Cattermole received a yellow card for his first ever foul in the Eredivisie.
Is that where he is now?
Yeah, the Dutch league. Yeah, first foul gets booked.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he'd gone.
Well, there you go. Look, that's an extra, you know, piece of, you know, stats.
Well, I've learned something.
You've learned 5 things, not just the 4 stats. You've learned an extra thing there.
I have. I'm impressed, Chris. This is possibly our best feature. But unfortunately, we have to move on from it. So we need to go to Pete's teaser.
Oh, man.
So
what's
your thinking?
I'm gonna have a think about this because they would have been in the EFL and the FA Cup final at the same time. Now my memory is not great, so I can't go back too far. But I can't think in the last 6-7 years at least where a team has got to both finals and lost. So I think it's going to be sort of like between in the like late 90s, sort of early noughties sort of time, and all I can think about is Arsenal, Liverpool. They were both good.
I thought Milan Barros. That was my first thought.
But he was at Liverpool for more than one season, so.
Pete did say he was a prolific striker at other clubs he was at.
Because he went to Aston Villa and he wasn't that great, was he? What about Villa? They were in finals around the noughties, weren't they? Leicester, Middlesbrough. I think Middlesbrough.
I tell you what. I think you've got it.
Middlesbrough.
Do you know what I think it is? Ravanelli.
Oh, Ravanelli. Could be, because they got to the FA Cup final in '97 against Chelsea and lost. But I don't know if they got to the League Cup. They ring quite a few.
I think I'm going to go for him.
Ravanelli, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. Depends how many seasons. Yeah, because I don't think he was that. He wasn't here for that long. Wasn't he the guy with the like dark silvery hair?
Yeah, it was like the Silver Fox guy.
And he was the one. Wasn't he the one that bought the shirt over the head celebration in his country?
Yeah.
Player. It better be him now, just to get his name out there. I'm going to tag him in this podcast if it is.
I'm going to tell you now. So I think we're going to go for him.
So we'll go for him, and I think it would have been 1997 when they played Chelsea.
I've just googled it, and he said he loved his season at Middlesbrough. So they would have. Talk amongst yourself, Chris. Talk amongst yourself, and I will giggle it, or Google it even.
Right, I found it. I've got it.
Oh, you've got it. Was it him? Oh, so get in.
He scored 17 goals.
Yeah, that's it, in like 35 games or something like that.
Yeah, it was him, yeah. He scored a hat-trick against Derby. He scored a hat-trick against Villa. And they lost the FA Cup final to Chelsea, which is the one I knew about.
Was that Di Matteo?
Yeah, and they also lost to Leicester City over they drew the first game in the final, and then the replay, they had replays in '97. They lost 1-0 in the replay. Ravanelli scored in the first game. Ravanelli also scored 5 goals against Hereford in the League Cup.
There you go. I'm surprised we got that. As soon as you said Middlesbrough, I thought, yeah, okay, I'm with that now.
Well, Middlesbrough are the only team that I could think of, because I was just thinking Chelsea, and then that was really.
Okay, good one. 3 from 3. Just before we go, we'll give you a quick update on the EFL Cup tonight. So, Bristol Rovers and Brighton are 1 each. Cardiff are losing 3-0 to Luton. Norwich are losing at Crawley. Villa are 5-0 up against Crewe. Palace and Colchester 0-0. Saints are 1 up on Fulham. Leeds 2, Stoke 2. That was 2-0 about 5 minutes ago. West Ham are winning 2-0 against Newport. Sheffield United 2-1 up on Blackburn. Watford 3-0 up on Coventry. That's probably the pick. Nottingham Forest 3, Derby 0.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the Premier League sides are putting their top line. But I mean, 5-0 for Villa away at Crewe. That's a decent result.
The match was abandoned due to rain, apparently.
Was it?
Yeah, that's what it says there.
Wow. Not like us tough Southerners, eh? Right. Okay. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for episode 3. So yeah, good weekend of football. Lots of discussion.
Yeah, we got a big one next weekend with Arsenal.
I'll be in a mood
Spurs.
next. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Speak to Adam, see if he wants to do it next week.
See if he wants to go to the Arsenal game. He's an Arsenal fan. He wants to do
the podcast.
Is he? He's an Arsenal fan. Out. Yeah.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Get him out. Right. Okay. So we'll speak to you next week. Have a good week, everybody.
See you later.